kind of energy and passion to the defensive end of the floor against Chris Paul and the Hornets. Chris Paul, of course, and you talked about him, Stu. First-round pick in 2005, fourth overall, and first-team All-NBA last year as he comes into the game, leading the NBA in assists and also in steals. And some rings for that man, and rings in purple and gold. Good to see Byron Scott. As the Hornets have picked it up, and well, they split their first 10. 5-5 over the first 10, but coming in tonight, New Orleans at 20-10. As we head downstairs now to Michael Eaves. Michael.
Yeah, Joe, of course, this is the third time the Lakers and the Hornets have met this season. And both times in the first half, the Lakers jumped out to a huge lead. 21-point advantage at the half in the first game, 19 points in the second game. So I asked Phil Jackson, were there matchups that he was able to exploit in those first two games? He said yes, there were, but there are also matchups on the Hornets side, and he'd like to keep those matchups secret until well into the game. Chris Paul said before today's game that this is a big game for them in terms of making a statement, considering how poorly they played the first two times. But he also said it's a no-lose situation for us. Even if we lose, we'll still be second best in the West. Phil Jackson expects them to come out with a very passionate first half of basketball, guys.
All right, and we have to also remember that Peja Stojakovic did not play in one of the two with back spasms. He is available, he's healthy, and he was deadly in warm-ups.
And I think it's important for the Lakers to get off to a better start this time, because this is one of the first times that the Hornets have been pretty much at full strength with Peja back. And so they have to establish that, you know, it wasn't because they were injury-riddled. It was just the fact that the Lakers feel like they're a better basketball team right now.
It's a very motivated group of Hornets. Third game of a four-game road trip. And they split the first two. They won the first. And that was at Portland. Fell behind big as they went to finish right away. Fell behind big in Denver on Saturday night. So they've been here since late Saturday night. Big up against Paul, follows his own. Gasol couldn't get it from behind David West. So that's the way it begins for the Lakers.
When was the last time you saw Derek posting up somebody? He actually posted up on Chris Paul.
And Chris Paul taking something to the side of his face because he's been wincing.
An errant elbow from D-Fish.
7 on the shot clock for David West up against Gasol. And the close. It comes up short, and what we talked about at the top of the telecast, the length of Pau Gasol against David West. It'll be Radmanovic wide open. Can't give Kobe the assist. Butler will clear it out.
But that's what he's out there for offensively, to space. Kobe drives, kicks. He's the guy that can knock down the open looks. So can this guy.
So the mid-range shot coming up short for Peja Stojakovic. Longtime member of the Sacramento Kings before signing the free agent contract. Andrew Bynum setting up in the post. He's coming up short. West will save it. Both teams cold out of the locker room to start the game.
First team that scores might win.
Knocked away from Chris Paul. It's by committee when you face a guy, Stu, like Chris Paul.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I mean, he is so good that you just can't ask any one individual to keep Chris Paul from doing what he does. That's why it's a team game. I mean, it's the epitome of a team game, especially on the defensive end.
David West had to follow. It was a step back over Pau Gasol. Now Gasol trying to answer back, and that won't be close. As Butler had the good position inside. They fast break points, they own them against the Lakers in the last game, but Chris Paul not even close up against Derek Fisher. So the Lakers still looking for the first point of the game. 2 minutes gone by. Coming in with a record of 27-5. Kobe had beaten Butler. Plenty of time left on the shot clock. Dish and a tough pass, Andrew Bynum. And a reach from behind by David West.
I can't tell you how difficult that pass was for Andrew, because when you're in close quarters like that, a shovel pass, the receiver can lose sight of it for a brief moment because of a defender there. But Andrew was able to gather it in and then go up and get fouled. That's a nice play by Andrew Bynum.
Well, Andrew has not been in double figures over the last couple. And not helping himself right now at the free throw line either, as he misses the first of two. Still averaging 12 and 8 a game.
Andrew's one of those players, again, that, you know, he has success shooting free throws, but I'd like to see him a little bit more dip in his legs, in his knees, a little bit more bend in the knees.
He's got the first point of the contest for the Lakers. The Lakers and the Hornets split the season series last year. We can forget The game Stojakovic had a couple of years ago here early in the season when he hit 10 threes and an opponent's record against the Lakers. Butler put in an awkward position as Radmanovic helps out on the glass.
And again, team defense, team rebounding. You know, go to the glass. Don't anticipate one of your 2 7-footers getting every rebound.
Two teams are combined. 1 for 10. And Radmanovic makes it 1 for 11, blowing the easy one, like Derek Fisher. Both had layups.
That was intimidation. He was so worried about Tyson Chandler.
Stojakovic, quick catch and shoot. 4-1 early. Hornets on top by 3. So the Lakers outscored in the first half of the first 2 games, 107-67. Figure this is going to be a lower scoring affair to begin with. Derek Fisher ties things up. So Fish has the first basket of the game for the Lakers on their 7th attempt.
And that's because when Powell has it on the box, they have to go and take the ball out of his hands, frees up the perimeter.
Recover defense for the Lakers on Stojakovic. Russell Butler denied by Andrew Bynum, but on right to Tyson Chandler. So Andrew helped defense, but his man was Chandler.
And you have to make Tyson score his from the, not in the dunk variety. Make him shoot the jump hook, etc.
Andrew had another reach, or is it a shove from behind? West came over, he had the first foul. That's going to be from behind, and it's going to be on Tyson Chandler. Andrew active.
Yeah, active because and a change of direction there. He caught the ball and then did a little pivot coming back to the left hand, and that's where Tyson Chandler gets called for the bump.
This time on the box, it's Pau Gasol. The lengthy advantage, but he's got to take the ball with him. And he tried to kick it. Tried to corral it and bring it in with a foot. Now Paul. And in transition, David West again. And he had a good look at the basket. Both teams high school. New Orleans, fortunately for the Lakers, 3 for 9 because the Lakers just 1 for 7. It'll be Fish. He had the look. Plenty of time at the shot clock. Kobe behind his back. He found the space, and he's got it all tied up at 6.
I talk about change of direction. No matter how you do it, this time Kobe with a behind-the-back dribble with the change of direction frees himself for the jumper.
He comes into the game 3rd in the league in scoring. 27 a contest. Russell Butler spacing well. Chandler walked Andrew under the basket. And Tyson Chandler going to the line to shoot 2.
No matter how good you are, if you always play in a straight line, you're easier to defend. But when you change direction, it loses the defender for just enough time to give you space to do that. Knockdown jumper.
So LA native Tyson Chandler getting the roll.
The roll?
On the first of 2.
You call that a roll?
It was a good shooter's touch. Come on, you know it and I know it.
He hit the backboard twice.
Out of the palm of his hand, not the fingertips. That good touch. He was taken second by the Clips, don't forget, and it was Elton Brand who went the other way in that deal with the Chicago Bulls. And we talked about it when we were down in New Orleans. They actually didn't get very much for him, did they? The Bulls got P.J. Brown and J.R. Smith, who never suited up. So what a steal for the Hornets. Now the Lakers down by a couple once again. It'll be short on the attempt by Gasol.
Powell just starting off a little bit short on both of his shots, so I'm sure he'll make the adjustment.
Well, they're facing one of the better defensive teams in the league. The New Orleans gives up 91 points a game, a little over 91. That's 3rd best in the NBA. And Chris Paul rarely misses when he's got a good look like that at the free throw line.
Well, that time he got the screen, and Andrew didn't come out. He stayed back a foot or 2, and that's all Chris Paul needs.
4-point lead for the Hornets. A little miscommunication there on the pick at least. Gasol got West out of position. Frees up Derek Fisher. And Fish 2 for 2 from at least beyond the arc after missing 2 2-footers. Go figure.
That second defender always will cause trouble for you defensively.
There's the backdoor lob. Andrew Bynum trying to help out on Chris Paul, and Tyson Chandler, what he does best. He's got a half dozen early. So he's got 6 of the first 12.
Especially when they have it on that side where there's no help. So that nobody can get to him on the pick and roll.
2 fouls now on David West. 6:06 to play. And you got to believe Byron's going to sit him down. He's too valuable.
That last basket, you know, just nobody on the weak side. Andrew tries to help out. Nobody there to get to the lob except Tyson Chandler. And they live on that play. The 2 of them live on that play.
Man, he's on the floor. You got to go back to Pau Gasol unless they switch up, and they do now at least. It'll be Chandler on Gasol. Shot clock down on Powell. The hook, it's got to be. Real short. He looked back at the other end and saw there was only 3 on the shot clock. Chris Paul hit the deck. It's David West. Bynum couldn't deny him that time. A 5-point lead is the biggest of the game early for New Orleans. And we said they would be motivated after losing twice on their home floor to the Lakers coming in tonight. Powell wide open. Instead, the left hand, Andrew Bynum. Too strong.
Yeah, he did a great drop step, but he drop stepped toward the baseline instead of toward the basket. If he drop steps to the basket, he has a dunk.
He'd already lost Chandler. David West. I guess Byron knows what he's doing, keeping him on the floor with 2 fouls. 6 points for David West, 6 for Tyson Chandler.
He knows there's going to be a dead ball at the next whistle, so he'll take him out at that point.
Kobe goes to the line looking for the 3-point play, weaving his way to the rack.
Yep, Kobe weaving, getting where he wants to go on the floor, and as I surmise, the next dead ball, which is the foul, brings us to a timeout. 5 minutes and 1 second left. A nice venture into the middle. Carl's Jr. Exmo shows you how difficult he is to handle. You think you're going to jump, so he shoots a little teardrop. You don't jump, it still drops for him. He's got all the shots in the book and some. He can invent them as the game goes on. And this time, he gets the defense out of position, gets the easy one and the foul. He'll be going to the charity stripe to complete the 3-point play.
And the Lakers have been doing a much better job at the free throw line. In fact, 79% at the stripe on Sunday. And in 6 of the 9 before the matchup on Sunday, they had hit over 80% of their free throw attempts. Melvin Ely has just checked into the game. Former Clip. He's down to the baseline, taking over for David West, who sits down with 2 fouls.
Well, he'll be attacking the rim from the post position more than David West does from the perimeter. Eli does it from the paint.
So a 4-point lead for the Hornets at 16-12. Kobe converting on the 3-point play. Backdoor taken away as Toby took away the passing lane for Butler. Butler had that last foul. And they are out of fouls now. Let's see how many times the Lakers can get to the free throw line. Off the bench. Chandler, he doesn't need to push off, does he, with that kind of length? He's solved.
Powell just got himself out of position to begin with. That was a good no call.
Chris Paul, second chance opportunity. He makes the most of it. And now 7-0 in second chance points as Paul is up to 5 points and 4 assists already.
This game is very important for the Hornets. I mean, they have to show that they can play with the Lakers. They have
Kobe brings them back within 5 at 19-14. 7 early points for Kobe.
Yeah, on 3 out of 3 shooting.
Paul, way too easy. So the pick and roll gets a layup for Chris Paul.
Again, he navigates wherever he wants to go. I mean, you can try to double him up out there, but if you could double him with a big, he's going to go around it.
Inside of 4 to play. Kobe, a little bit off on that one at the head of the key. His first miss of the game. Lakers still at just 33%, 5 of 15. And it's going to be the second foul on Tyson Chandler. So West has 2, Chandler has 2 on the moving pick.
Byron Scott not happy about that call, so he brings in Hilton Armstrong for Tyson Chandler, and also coming in for the Lakers, Lamar Odom. For somebody. Somebody's got to go off. See the game the other night?
Yeah,
Portland had 6 guys on the floor. And
yeah, power play.
Got away with it.
Didn't know
1.
Power play was allowed in basketball, but it worked. Man advantage. So 3.5 to play in the opening 12. Lamar Odom, Gasol, Radmanovic, Fish, and Kobe. Radmanovic, a good look. And can't get the roll. So the Lakers can't complain with what they're getting. They've missed some layups, and Radmanovic and Fish both missing layups. And Paul extends it over Lamar Odom. What a start for Chris Paul. He's got 9 of the 23 of the Lakers. Deepest deficit now is 9. Lamar Odom beats Eli. Couple of free throws. So Eli mesmerized a little bit by Paul and Fisher down to the baseline when it came out.
Eli was just caught himself out of position that time. I don't know what he was thinking. I know what Chris Paul's thinking. He's thinking, Lamar, don't dislocate your shoulder trying to get to this teardrop. I mean, he's got a game, boy, and he really makes the bigs frustrating.
So Lamar Odom just checking in and gets the first of 2. Well, you can win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Lakers home game courtesy of Verizon Wireless. Standard text Lakers to 66196 by the end of this evening's game. One winner per contest, and the sweepstakes are open for residents of L.A., Ventura, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Orange County. If you have to be 18 for all the rules, just head over to the website, thelakers.com. James Posey, you can hear in the background, he's in the game. And on the long miss, Stojakovic with a rebound. So the Lakers still down by 8, 23-15. Hornets, after their slow start, 10 of 18, 56%.
Just the opposite of how the first 2 games this year have opened up. The Lakers were the team with the fast start.
Armstrong denied, but they'll call the foul. He had one thing in mind as he put his head down.
Well, when you get into the paint like that, you better have that one thing in mind. Think about being an aggressive scorer. If they come, then you can make the pass. But you get into the paint, be aggressive as a scorer. 2:47 left, and the Lakers, wow, down by 8.
You're watching FSN Prime Ticket. Due to time constraints, we resume programming later in the telecast.
6-point lead for the Hornets, and the Lakers in real good shape after the way they started offensively and hitting only a third of their shots through the midway point of the first 12 minutes. Chris Paul and the Hornets, though, they're hot. 52%, 32 on the board, 15 of the 32, so a point away from 50% of their production. And averaging 11.5 assists a game. He's got 4 so far. Antonio Daniels has taken over, and he was just acquired with Mike James going over to the Washington Wizards. AD, former lottery pick of the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Well, with this lineup on the floor for the Hornets, I'm trying to figure out who the Lakers are going to have to double again, because Posey's posting up now.
Mismatch. Kept alive, but batted away, and the Lakers should come up with it because Ariza's after it. Trevor leading it off for Radmanovic, the rainbow. And Posey, uncontested glass. So opening minute, and the only game left in the NBA is still going on. Everything is over, including Boston's loss in overtime at Charlotte. As the Celtics lost 114-106, so that's 5 losses for Boston over the last 7 games.
And you see where the Hornets are going. They're going to Posey in the post, not his strong point.
And Posey will get an easy one.
But he's setting the table, isn't he?
See, short shot clock inside of 5, and it went to his strong side. Uncontested. 8-point game. And James Posey, his first basket, 4 minutes to play with a couple of boards.
And Byron Scott putting David West back in the game.
West over there with 2 fouls like Tyson Chandler. And easy call. Posey's got a second foul going across the arms of Andrew Bynum.
Now, if I'm Phil Jackson, I'd change up a little bit myself. I'd say, okay, you want to put David back in? Foul. Come on. Let's go. Because he's only putting David back in basically because he doesn't feel like, well, Lamar can take him off the dribble, so maybe I'd attack him there.
Andrew Bynum asking for it against Tilton Armstrong.
Too high on the floor, though.
Trying to back him down. And soft touch by the big guy. Yeah. 6-point game.
I'd like to see Andrew start getting the ball on the box. Not mid-post or even further, but on the box. So he only has to take basically one dribble to get where he wants to be.
His head coach had talked about it. Posey fronted and fouled by Radmanovic. Phil Jackson said just a few days ago he'd like to see Andrew deeper on the acceptance of that pass that you're talking about. Deeper in the post. He's caught it so often, almost like the pinch post, towards the high post. So 34-28 lead.
Boy, they are milking this James Posey situation. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
And Fish trying to take it away. Posey will throw it off Derek out of bounds with only a second left on the shot clock. Not a lot of touches in that set.
That's what happens when you concentrate on one guy so much. The clock continues to run. So now they've got to either throw a lob or a catch and fling.
And yeah, there's the fling. It won't get to the rim. So the Lakers get the stop. Out there for the Lakers at the outset of the second. Bynum, Radmanovic, Odom, Fish, and Trevor Ariza. Kobe with his first break of the game. Over on the bench with Pau Gasol. Sasha, you got to believe he's probably done for the half with 3 fouls. Now Lamar Odom on a switch has Armstrong. Got to go up. He's been in the lane a while. Yeah. And he gets to the rim for the stop.
Wow.
Man, they've been there for a while.
They were generous.
A 4-point game. And
clock didn't start.
Yeah. Well, It's still at 24.
Andrew really worked to get some position, but I like the way he aggressively attacked the rim. Hilton Armstrong was right on the elbow, but he got the dunk despite that. That was nice aggression by Andrew Bynum. Very nice.
So we're just about 2 minutes into the second 12. Andrew Bynum quickly with a couple of buckets. As I said, he has not been in double figures the last 2 games. If he gets in double figures in boards and 2 or 3 blocks a game, that's what the staff really likes.
Yeah, they absolutely. But, you know, one of the things the staff is commenting about Andrew is they just want to see more activity. You know, be more active when you're on the floor, whether it's offensively or defensively.
Yeah, they've talked about his energy level waning at times. 2 minutes gone by. Posey had the good look. And now, Trevor Ariza, or was it? Radmanovic, too. And Fish, the distance. Ariza follows it. It's a 2-point game.
That surprised you that Ariza follows it?
Shocking. Now, another whistle. A lot of whistles. Radmanovic, though, did give a bump to Posey. So he was too close for comfort. Second on Radmanovic. Second team foul on the Lakers.
Well, that was some play by Trevor again, running the floor as Posey gets a piece of that shot, but there's Trevor. He doesn't get it cleanly, but enough of it to get it to go home.
Almost like he lost it home.
You can do that when you're up that high.
David West up against Lamar. James Posey. He kind of froze and locked Andrew Bynum. It's a 4-point game, 36-32. So Posey with 4 off the bench. He comes in averaging 10 and 5. He's been the most consistent. Ariza setting up Lamar. It's going to be real short.
Well, I was surprised that even got to the rim. When it left his hand, it looked like a curveball.
West wanted it. Inside of 8 on the shot clock. Posey sees it. And Daniels has to go with it. Lamar will take the air ball. And usually they let it go. But instead, will come out of a timeout. The Lakers will have it.
8:51 left to go in the half. And the Lakers still trying to fight back. Coming up next, we'll have a chat, a live wire chat with that man, Vlade Divac.
Here at Staples Center, everybody felt strongly about this guy as a Laker. Loved his style, loved his game. And he was a total team player. A Laker, then a Sacramento King. We won't hold that against him. And back with the Lakers to finish up his career. I'm talking about Vlade Divac. Vlade, Joel Myers, Stu Lance, thank you for taking the time, first of all.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for having me.
International ambassador for the Lakers. So when you see guys overseas that you particularly like, you're talking to Mitch Kupchak.
Well, I sent a message through our scout, Adam Filippi, who does a great job scouting for the Lakers in Europe. But definitely, yeah, I spent some time on the road and look to find some talent for us.
Have you found any talent over there that you can talk about?
I can talk about my son who just started, basketball. So he may end up in the NBA in a couple of years.
How old is he?
He's 15.
Oh, he should be here now then.
Well,
I don't like that high school stuff.
Oh. Well, obviously in Europe you can play when you are 16. Vlade Divac's with us. How tall is he, Vlade?
He's 6'2". He's 6'2", something similar like I was in his age.
Okay, so the growth spurt on its way as a reason. Way off. It'll be tracked down by James Posey.
Can he pass like you?
Definitely he can pass, and he understands basketball the right way. So that's what I like about
I know one thing.
game.
I know one thing he can do better than you.
He can
probably
jump,
shoot free throws.
Trevor Ariza taking it away, and Radmanovic will clean it up. The foul on Posey is his third. Ariza does it again.
Vlade, I remember just yesterday I was watching television, Vlade, as we get another look at the steal. I thought I saw you and another former basketball player in a commercial.
The best.
You know what? I was flying from Salt Lake the other day, and it was the first time I saw the commercial. Yeah, I did the
Taco Bell
with Daryl Dawkins last summer.
And you're an intern for life now, aren't you?
How come you didn't dunk that layup you shot?
Well, it would be unrealistic for me.
I like your honesty, Vlade. We're 4 minutes into the second quarter in a 1-point game. Radmanovic got help from Ariza.
You know, the one thing I remember most about Vlade was his rookie year. He came to the big man's camp, couldn't speak any English, had an interpreter, but the way you absorbed everything, I knew right then that you were one of the most intelligent basketball players that we'd ever seen.
Well, thank you, Stu. I really enjoy. I should say I was lucky when the Lakers drafted me. If I end up anywhere, it would be much tougher for me. But I had, such a important guys for my career with Magic, AC, James Worthy, even Byron Scott, who's coach today here, and he was my assistant coach at Sacramento, a great guy. So I had a group of guys that really helped me to adjust from Europe to the American basketball.
And Vlade, you're going to have your number retired. That's got to be a lot for you. Your number is going to be retired by the Kings.
It's a big honor, yeah, and I think when something happened like that, you did the right things up there.
The thing I remember about you and Byron Scott, at the beginning of every year, you used to tell me that you were going to outshoot Byron from the free throw line.
Well, I lost a lot of money, you know that.
I know, I made a lot. I think you still owe me for the last one, though.
You know what? I tried to put some goal for me where it would be challenge for me to go for it.
Yeah, and that's what you should do. I mean, all players should set a goal that's, easy, not easy to reach, but something that's going to make you really focus in on it.
Exactly, and I think I actually improved from free throws just having high goals.
Talking to Vlade Divac. Vlade, what stands out in your mind the most, your days here in Southern California with the Lakers especially?
Well, I'm very happy to see how they're doing this year, and hopefully they can stay in a place where they are now. And if we have a chance to play in the finals like last year, I think it's our year.
I like it. I like the way he said we, our year. As Lamar Odom gets to the cup. 7:03 to play, and a couple of more free throws coming up. Vlade, we really appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
And continued success with your acting career now.
Yeah, between you and Darryl, I'm trying to figure out which one of you are going to get the Oscar.
Hey, I would give it to him. He's a very funny guy.
Oh, I loved it. I especially like the block shot at the end of the spot. That was classic. Hey, Vlade, thanks.
Take care, guys.
All right. Vlade Divac. And if you haven't seen the commercial, it'll get you. Lamar was short in the corner, but he was real long at the free throw line there. As the foul puts Tyson Chandler on the bench. He's got three. Three as well on James Posey. David West is out there with a couple. We're almost 5 minutes in to the second 12-minute session.
And both teams trying to work their starters back into the ball game. Lakers now with three of their starters on the floor. And the Hornets have three of theirs on the floor.
Yeah, there's a big disparity right now on the boards, 19-12. And the Lakers second in the class in the NBA compared to 23rd for the Hornets. Let's see if they can cut that deficit.
Well, a lot of missed shots by the Lakers. They're only shooting 40%. So
a lot of rebounds.
A lot of rebounds for the Hornets to garner.
West. He's got the range. It's picked up by Ariza. We talked about the length, though. Pau Gasol is staying there in front of him. Probably wants to dive. Ariza got there late. Instead, Lamar in the corner for three. Hello! And the Lakers take the lead at 39-38. That is their first lead of the game.
And Kobe again setting that table. They double him in the post, and he just kicks it out of the extra pass.
Russell Butler answers.
That's what he can do.
Yeah, well, they've got a few of those guys.
Yeah, and you have to with Chris Paul. Because he's going to get you some looks.
So whether it's Stojakovic, Posey, that time Russell Butler, and they are 39% as a team. Trevor Ariza, right by Armstrong. Don't get the roll. Gasol, the same can be said for him on the little tap. That's where the game began when the Lakers had easy looks inside. Couldn't convert. 41-39. 50% shooting for the Hornets, 40% for the Lakers. And a wide open David West. His face-up game, one of the better ones now, out just beyond the high post. He's into double figures with 10.
I don't think Phil Jackson's too happy right now.
Lamar again, right to the hole. And another reach sends Lamar to the line for a three-point opportunity.
Phil actually was up wanting a timeout,
Right,
but
over there.
The team attacked before he could get it to the official, and they get a possible 3-point coming in off the bench.
And just over the last few home games, Lamar has been more of a factor at the offensive end, averaging 9 and 6 overall, but as you mentioned, in double figures already and going to the line.
And it's something he has to consciously be aware of, because it's not his nature to be very aggressive offensively for himself. He's a team guy. He's a facilitator.
So Lamar converts on the 3-point play. Lakers back within 1. Let's see if they can get some stops, though. Not that many threes taken. Chris Paul back on the floor, along with Stojakovic, West, Hilton Armstrong. In there, it's Tyson Chandler has 3 fouls, and Rasul Butler. Now inside of 10 of the shot clock. And it's not in the hands of Chris Paul. That makes a difference. But he's got it at the end of the shot clock, and a long rebound comes out. Hilton Armstrong with the left hand. Good look for Hilton Armstrong, a guy that they're giving more minutes to. Third year out of UConn, first-round pick in 2006, 12th overall for the Hornets.
Well, David West has been on the floor now with those 2, and the Lakers haven't really exploited that, so he's comfortable to play now without worrying about fouls. That's an inadvertent whistle.
Yeah, it went off Kobe's shin over to Lamar Odom on the. That would have been an interesting assist had it gone up and Lamar made it. Because Kobe touched it last. 8 of the shot clock for the Lakers. 4:42 left in the half. Now, Derek Fisher's been out there for 16 minutes. And I bring that up because Phil Jackson just said recently. Fish challenge. At least it got to the rim. And right back at it. The Bulldog foul by Butler.
I tell you, he just does not quit, does he?
Yeah. Tenacity.
You're talking about a guy that competes. You're talking about Derek Fisher, who earns himself 2 free throws, missed his shot, but got his own rebound and then attacked and got the whistle. The foul on Butler.
And I bring up 30 minutes because Fish is averaging 30 minutes a game so far this season. He has played, though, significantly more in the 6 games before Sunday's win over the Blazers, when he played just about 33. It was 37 minutes a contest in those 6. And 3 times over the last 7, he's played better than 40. So until Jordan Farmar gets back, more minutes. And it'll be interesting to see how Fish holds up at 34 years of age. Got a whistle.
Some blood on Rasul Butler.
So he's headed over to the bench. It's a 2-point Hornets lead. They have the basketball.
You know, you're talking about Derek Fisher's minutes. You know, when he's playing those kind of minutes, I think one of the keys is keep him off the practice floor. I mean, for him to play 35, 38 minutes, I think he's still in a good physical condition to do that. But I don't think he can do it if you're going to ask him to practice the next day on a day off. I think on days off, Fish should be relegated to shooting free throws.
Yeah, you know, Phil Jackson, as you bring that up, he's done that a lot with Kobe and Pau Gasol early this year, where if there's been a rash of games where maybe there's 4 games over 6 days, he's said to those guys, you don't have to run, take a break. And I think that same consideration is going to be there for Derek Fisher.
And it should be, you know, but telling Kobe you don't have to run is ridiculous. You know what? There's a basketball in the gym? I want to run.
Devin Brown has come back into the game, taking over for Rasul Butler, who's headed back to the locker room to get patched up. Deep. An air ball. It's almost like he didn't even have it in his hands. He got rid of it so quickly.
I mean, I think he was so surprised that he was so open, he forgot where he was to be that open. And, I mean, he's a good shooter, but that one was from Inglewood.
They've missed their last 2 threes. Third best percentage-wise in the NBA coming into the game. So the Lakers look to tie it or take the lead. Kobe draws 2. Gasol's got Paul on him and couldn't get there. Now, on the run-out, the trailer is Devin Brown. And it's a charge. It'll go the other way.
Oh, Derek took it all, too.
The Bulldog not down for the count. He's back.
Byron is just wondering if he was in the restricted area, but Derek takes it all on the turnover by the Lakers. Chris Paul in transition. What a nightmare that is coming at you. He was definitely in the restricted area, but the Lakers get a break.
So the turnover for New Orleans, there's 7. Lakers with only 2 so far. Kobe had it taken away again. The double paid off on the sideline.
Well, if they're going to run screens with him, they can't do it on the sideline. Do it in the middle of the floor.
David West step through, and a couple of free throws coming up. He was banged around by Lamar Odom.
What I mean, when you run screens and have him come off the screen on the sideline becomes a third defender. Kobe didn't have any room to navigate, and then they doubled him there and got the turnover. But if you do that in the middle of the floor, Kobe can go where he wants.
So the Hornets maintaining the advantage despite the fact they're finishing up the half without Tyson Chandler, don't forget. And one of the problems for them earlier this year was not having Chandler on the floor, whether it was an injury or foul trouble like right now. Suspension on Saturday night. He did not play in the Denver game. Last year, Chandler played 70% of their minutes overall on the season. He's at just 52%. Granted, it's early. It's only 30 games in. But for the Hornets to be successful, they've got to keep that guy on the floor.
Well, their 1-2 punch is getting it done. They've got 27 of the 47. So
and you're talking about West and Paul.
West and Paul it is, or Paul and West, whichever case may be.
It'll be a hold on Devin Brown. And Kobe is headed to the free throw line to shoot two. So both teams going to the line a lot in the first half. This will be 16 attempts for the Lakers, 15 so far for the Hornets. And we have 3:27 to play in the half.
The Lakers, I think in the second half or at halftime, Phil's going to talk to them about their defense. And similar to what they did in the last game, after intermission, the defensive screws started to tighten more and more. And that's what you're going to have to do tonight to get this Hornet team under control.
And you're referring to the third quarter against the Blazers Sunday night, where the Lakers outscored them 30-16, held them to 16 on 36% shooting and forced 5 turnovers. Played real good deep.
Extending their defense here. See what Hornets do with it.
Devin Brown is fouled. I said there were a lot of whistles, didn't I? More free throws coming up. Those were Kobe's first points, by the way, here in the second quarter. So Lakers out of fouls. Free throws coming up for Devin Brown.
Derek gets called for the foul. He reached in with the right arm, and when you reach, you kind of open the door for the official to blow the whistle. You just want to try to obstruct their vision, keep them in that trap, and hope they'll throw the ball up in the air where one of your teammates on the weak side can come and pick it off.
Let's see if Pau Gasol in the last 3+ can get some touches for the Lakers. Not a lot of rhythm to anybody's offense with that many free throws, but let's see if it cleans up over the final 3.5. So Devin Brown, all-time leading scorer at Texas San Antonio. He splits a pair and makes it a 3-point lead once again for the Hornets. And you joined us after the start of the game. The Hornets were out of the blocks in a hurry, as opposed to the first 2 games of this season series, where the Lakers outscored them by 40 in the first half of the first 2. Kobe, deep 3. It's all even at 48, and Kobe with 14 already.
I mean, he caught that one and just elevated. Devin Brown didn't have a clue what to do.
Chris Paul hit on the way by, and Lamar Odom.
But you see what he does?
He runs into people.
He cuts off the angle so you can't get back in front of him. That's just a very smart play by a very smart player. But that last basket by Kobe, catch, elevate, nothing but bottom. That's just Kobe being Kobe.
Lamar, it was
everything in the arsenal.
Because Lamar got, it looked like, hit the knee. He's headed over, hobbling to the bench. Third foul, though, for L.O. He's had the last 2 for the Lakers, as Andrew Bynum will check in.
Well, you see how Chris Paul came right into L.O., making sure that he didn't get in a position to get the block. And you can see the pain shown by Lamar Odom on the play.
Chris Paul up to 16 points. He has yet to miss from the stripe. A real clean 5 of 7 from the field. And what a player. First team All-NBA, second team All-Defense last year. Leads the league not only in assists, as I mentioned, but also in steals. And Trevor Ariza of the Lakers also among the top 10 in steals. He is 7th best in the league. So 2-point lead for the Hornets. And they have to have this. Otherwise, the Lakers claim the season series this early in the year. In the Lakers' 33rd game. 10 on the shot clock. Kobe skipping it to Fish. What court vision. Fish can't give him the extra look or the extra assist. Chris Paul all the way to the hole again.
You see how he kept his dribble alive.
Yeah, I think Trevor Ariza got a piece of that one. On the follow-away, Lakers have numbers. Especially if you can get it to Andrew Bynum. Andrew Bynum real short. Following his own, shoots 2.
Boy, he's long. He is long. He caught that one above his head and kept it there, and nobody could really reach it, so they ended up slapping him on the arm. We'll go to the timeout. The Deuces are on the board. Time out of action.
And unfortunately, you know what it reminds me of? Remember Houston when he hyperextended his knee on a bad landing. It was right in the middle of the paint on the road at Houston. So the Lakers, they've got Luke Walton on the injury list right now. Luke out for a couple of weeks. Jordan Farmar, hopefully Jordan back by the All-Star break after the surgery, the scope for lateral meniscus.
Well, injuries are something that every team has to, deal with. And every team has to just keep their fingers crossed that they can keep them to a minimum. But in a marathon season like this, you're going to have injuries.
Andrew Bynum coming through at the stripe. He ties it at 50 with 2+ to play in the half. David West and Derek Fisher vacating the premises.
Well, he went halfway and then decided to go back to his man. He wasn't in arm's length of any offensive players, so he gets caught. If you're going to go, you have to go.
David West will take it. Well, this guy's turned out to be a steal as the 18th overall pick in the 2003 draft. Career highs last year of 21 and 9. Coming in tonight,
I'm disappointed.
Averaging 20 and 7.
Disappointed. I have to talk to Chris Paul after the game. Didn't shoot that technical. Is that a forward shooter? Guards are supposed to shoot the tees. That's the rule.
Yao Ming goes to the line for the Rockets. Jump on them. Chris Paul, and almost like an afterthought, but Trevor Ariza flashed. And I like the way Trevor Ariza now has been on Chris Paul. Phil Jackson talked about it, the way Trevor played him down the stretch. In the last game out in New Orleans, Kobe caught up. It's Fish. Real short. There was a line drive out of his hand.
They've got 10-on-1.
Devin Brown on the reverse. So it's back to a 3-point lead. Fast break points, like the previous game, it belonged to the Hornets. Not as dramatic this time. 90 seconds left. Going Bynum to go up. Reposted. Oh, Chris Paul on a pass that was right in his vision. So Paul with a takeaway and the bucket. Points off a turnover for Chris Paul. He did it all. 5-point lead. Not a real good close to the half for the Lakers.
Not good at all. There's still a minute to play. Let's see if they can cut into this 5-point deficit.
Take the ball out of Kobe's hands, aren't they? And thrown away by the Lakers once again. Well, they took it out of Kobe's hands on the sideline, and the Lakers better get back. It's Devin Brown. And the Lakers asleep at the wheel. Inside of a minute to play. That can't happen. 7-0 run for the Hornets, and Andrew Bynum called for the offensive foul. Hilton Armstrong shot out of a cannon.
I'll tell you what, the last minute and a half, 2 minutes of this half, the Lakers have really come unglued a little bit. The turnovers, not getting back defensively. What was a 50-50 game is now a 57-50 with a minute or so to play.
And it seemed like just about 2 minutes ago it was 6, or make it 7-2 in turnovers, and now it's 7-6. Lakers with 4 in a hurry. So 6 overall. Shot clock coming down on Chris Paul. The floater over Bobby Saul. Too deep. Man, he gets that close to the basket. 9-0 run. 21 for Chris Paul. What a performance.
Trying to bait Powell into dislocating his shoulder, swinging at that teardrop.
It'll be Trevor Ariza. And Trevor sets it up. Took his time. Kobe on the assist. 5 off the bench for Ariza. 6 is the deficit. And what's it going to be when they head to the locker room?
One, they got to get the ball out of this man's hands, because he is navigating into the paint. Neither Bynum nor Powell have been able to alter.
And they have played Stu most of their second quarter without their starting center, Tyson Chandler. Chris Paul again into the paint. Money. Boy, is he good when he gets to the rim. Now Kobe got a shot at the buzzer and does it. Never fails when it gets into his hands. He knew what was going on.
Well, they'll review it, but it looked like it was good from our vantage point. That's why he's the most dangerous player, taking a last-second shot. Chris Paul looking like, I've seen it before, but I still don't believe it.
They thought they were headed to the locker room with an 8-point advantage. Is it 5?
Well, it's definitely out of his hands before the lights come on, so it's going to count. As Kobe looks at it, watches it go through, says, how many times have I done this? It's been done a lot by number 24.